Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I do not want to take much of your time, but something has just happened to XRP that I think a lot of y'all might be interested in. Plus, of course, I gotta update y'all on the market because, well, things are always happening, things are always popping. Make sure you press that like button and let's dive right in. Now, really, one thing I'd like to have to cover on the channel, but really don't, is basically the idea that, what phase we're getting into shortly is the phase where governments will be fighting over crypto. And in reality, the most, crucial or profitable thing you can do right now is, regardless of market conditions, hold through. This is not financial advice, it's my personal thoughts, but I'll remind you, sell a tooth if you must, but keep the freaking coins, regardless of how bad things look at the moment. You'll thank yourself later. And I'm not saying, buy all these garbage ass meme coins which are gone in a day. There are many streams for that. Right now, for example, there's a whole new trending wave of coins which are doing amazing. There's, for example, been one wallet who had just in 3 days made like $700,000 for just buying like 7 different coins. Some people get lucky. Some people are insiders, so to speak. But the point being, with all these, the principle does not apply. But if you have quality assets, quality coins that we all know and love, this tends to work out just beautifully over time. Now, if we're talking about some of the most recent news, one part was that the SEC continues to investigate Coinbase, even after dropping the lawsuit, probing whether user numbers were misstated. New York Times. And I'm guessing that perhaps because of this most recent issue, the SEC is going to look into them even deeper, not because of, I'm going to say the breach itself, perhaps, but I still kind of think maybe, just maybe, because now they had some sort of issue, the SEC will find another reason to just look deeper in their books. On the side, with regards to Ripple, nothing in today's order. Well, what's going on? Actually, Ripple versus SEC, Judge 𝗬𝗓 has denied the party's motion for an indicative ruling. Quote, if jurisdiction were restored to this court, the court would deny the parties' motion as procedurally improper. So the basic meaning of this is that the parties didn't request relief under the right rule of civil procedures. So they will refile it under the correct rule, but me reading between the lines is that Ripple and the SEC need to get on all fours and beg for relief. Now that line at the end, damn. Get on all fours and beg for relief, brother. What am I reading right here? But hey, it's interesting, by the way. RLUSD is trending. That is actually quite interesting. Now, the last hours, let me just say, have been chaos when it comes to the XRP community. Anders said, sounds like she doesn't like her ruling being challenged. Interesting to kind of think about it that way. 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗏𝗍𝒫, know-it-all, said, I find it hard to believe that both Ripple lawyers and the SEC lawyers did not know the procedure, thus feels like a kind of deliberate in some way. And Fred says, no, they tried to do it the easy way first, now they have to do it the hard, messy way. And what they're basically referring to is the way they filed it, the way they just try to say, you know what, we have come to this sort of agreement with the 50 million 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗓. Can we just call it quits? Can we just call it even? Can we just call it done? Some people stated, no, this is all deliberate because this was docket number 984. And of course, the most important one needs to be 985, and it's all connected, 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗓. Can't say too much about that. All I know is the chief legal officer at Ripple said nothing in today's order changes Ripple's wins. For example, that XRP is not a security, etc. This is about procedural concerns with the dismissal of Ripple's cross appeal. Ripple and the SEC are fully in agreement to resolve this case and will revisit the issue with the court together. So it's basically Ripple and the SEC who came to an agreement, yet didn't file for that agreement properly. And again, Fred Rispoli is coming in hot saying, quote, by styling their motions as one for settlement approval, the parties failed to address the heavy burden they must overcome to vacate the injunction and substantially reduce the civil penalty. Translation is, you wasted 5 years of my time on this, and that is ridiculous. Refile, and if you beg for relief and give me a heavy details on why you wasted my time and why I should do this, I just may. What I would do? File a 25-page motion, describe all the other cases being dropped, file declarations from the commissioners, describe the failures of the SEC to do any meaningful work on crypto guidance, etc. I do think that will get it done, but that's going to take at least 2 to 3 weeks for Ripple and the SEC to put together a file. Another week or two for the judge to rule, and so we hoped that perhaps things would be done right now, but apparently Ripple and the SEC tried to get to a conclusion of like, you know what, the last, few years of all this lawsuit, let's just skip all that. Let's get to a conclusion that we, Ripple, and us, the SEC, have kind of come together on. And I guess it's kind of stabbing them in the back right now for taking the easy way out. And again, the point being, they didn't really explain why they came to this sort of agreement or what changed. Apparently, they just came to it, and the judge is like, well, but why exactly is my conclusion that the judge had not good enough? Why are you changing a conclusion all of a sudden on your own? That's again what I fetched from all this. P.S. The lawyers didn't do their motion wrong. They just opted for the easy method and hoped _𝗏𝗏𝗏 would just be easy enough to say, you know what, that's fine. As I also hoped and assumed she would. But she's going to make them do all the work right now, which not a lawyer. I don't really get the whole point of all this. People might hate Ripple, the guys over there. I saw a lot of hatred towards the lawyers, but I'm going to say, you know what? It's not that they don't get paid enough to do all this. They do. And it's not as if they're not competent enough. They are. Again, these guys, remember, it's also the SEC. They have professional-ass lawyers, right? And these guys are being paid tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. It's just that they thought, this will be quicker. Let's get it done as soon as possible in the easy method because the judge has been quite chill and good. But apparently she's like, you know what? No. Now getting back to it, I'll quickly state that if you're selling your coins when the market turns around just a little bit, I personally consider that losing. Why? I've already described 1,000 freaking times that, in my opinion, the worst thing you can do in a bull market is be a sucker to sell the freaking bottom. If you were not selling the last few days when things were in the green, doing amazing, 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓, and you're selling when things are starting to fall down, I call you a loser. Not if you're in crazy sums of profit and you're selling for, less profit. That's all fine. But if you're selling everything at a loss, I call you a loser. Why? Remember what I've told you about, for example, the strategies I keep talking about every single day here with regards to these bots, right? This is just a side note, but I gotta say it real quick. This can be tens, hundreds, millions of dollars in a loss, tens or hundreds of thousands. I don't care. Why? Because eventually it'll flip back around and make me tons of profits in the meantime, because again, it's going to buy low, sell high, all the freaking time. Again, you might look back at this video in a few weeks and say, Dusty, what has happened? Because I'm $200,000 down. I do not care. I know where we're headed. I know that cryptos right now are extremely oversold, extremely low, undervalued, bam. And that's why recently I've been stacking up on these coins. I've been buying millions of dollars worth at these lower prices. Why? Not because I timed the dip perfectly. No, I didn't. Right, we bought a good chunk, but we didn't time things perfectly. But you do not have to. It's not about that. It's about having conviction at the right time. And I stand right now to say things are so freaking cheap. If you're not understanding that, we're just mismatching. I will state that if you're selling at these areas because you made a ton of profit by buying the freaking bottom, Solana was under $100. Ethereum was $1,400. That is beautiful. Crème de la crème, right? XRP was what? $1.40, $1.60, something like that. If you're selling because of that, perfect. But people who bought yesterday, the day before, and are selling at a loss right now, I call them weak-minded, weak hands, and you will never make it. Unless, again, you just bought for the sake of buying into that pump, you saw it reverse right now, and you're afraid, you just want to get out of crypto, never touch it again. Hey, that's all good. But to me, again, that just means you had the wrong strategy from the get-go, because if you're buying quality asset coins, quality coins, ain't never a good scenario where this is the answer. But again, that is just me. I just want to quickly state that I see a lot of people being angry in the comment section or saying, oh, I'm done with this lawsuit, or oh, my coins, blah, blah, blah. Shut up and just be patient. All right, hold through it. It'll be worth it in the end. And I've said this for 8 years in a row. It'll be worth it. Almost 9 years right now we're getting to that I've been screaming at you from the channel here that it will be worth it in the end. So shut up and just deal with it. It will take time. It's been 3 years of up though, right? Remember, November or so 2022 was the lowest point. It's been only up since then. You never sell dips. You sell when things are on the up and up. Remember this. Don't get distracted because they're trying to make you sell with all the shenanigans you have to do. We're at extremely low prices in the grand scheme of things. Still, higher prices are going to be hit. I'll remind you in the next few months as we're just crossing those crazy barriers. I'm feeling excited today, guys. I'm feeling excited because I feel what is happening. And even though I'm not so sure if another dip is in the midst here soon, right? All I know is I want to hear that pump it up song, pump it up. I want to hear that motherfucking every day, and we shall. I believe it. I feel it. And this is not financial advice. Not at all, right? This is just my thoughts. said through the computer screen, but I just know, I am just so certain that it's worth the risk. Whatever the risk is, it is worth it, as long as obviously you can survive it, right? But yeah, that's about